See, the whole purpose of yoga is to achieve a psychosexual union between Shakti and Shiva. Shiva is the third member of the Trinity of Hinduism, the destroyer, the death angel, if you will, linked with Shakti, who is his female consort.
What is going on? What about something as innocuous as yoga, especially the exercises, which they lower blood pressure, they relax people, they limber them up? What's wrong with that?
Yoga is a Sanskrit word that means yoked with or in union with God.
Well, for every Christian, Messianic Jew should want to be yoked with and in union with God.
The catch is the definition of God. And it's the God of ultimate unitary consciousness of the enlightenment, the Brahman, if you will, of Hinduism. And all the classic yoga texts teach this. In fact, the classic yoga texts warn you cannot separate yoga from Hinduism. You cannot do it. They tell you this outright, and they become very angry when Americans try to do this because they say it can't be done, and I believe them.
Okay, someone doesn't forget Hindu schmindu. All they want is exercise. It's good exercise, Bob.
I do
What's
good
wrong
exercise,
with
Sid. I have
What's wrong with, no, forget what you do.
No, I have a stretching routine every single day, and some of what I do can resemble certain yoga positions, but I'm not practicing the worldview and all of the accoutrements of it. I'm not putting myself into body postures and calling them after names of Hindu gods and goddesses and various animals. I'm simply stretching my muscles. The difference is that in the process of yoga, you don't do one or two stretching positions. You do a whole routine, all of which is designed just like a radio to tune you into the spirit world and to awaken these chakras, which I believe are some kind of loci in the body of spirituality, and the devil knows that.
What was it like? What were you doing?
I was studying yoga and meditation.
Oxford University Press put out a collection of information on religions, and they have 3 PhDs from different studies, doctors of philosophy, that came and gave over their conclusions. And they decided, they said that the primary vehicle for the spreading of Hinduism today is the practice of yoga. So we see even the people that are practicing innocently, like you did, are still getting Hinduisms into their system. One of the yoga postures called salutation to the sun. Mm-hmm. Have you heard that?
I've heard that.
The real name still today in India is worshiping the sun, but they translate it this way so the Westerns wouldn't be turned off.
Mm-hmm. Is yoga actually demonic? Is it actually something to be concerned about? Or is it a bunch of just paranoia from these religious Christians thinking everything's demonic? Well, let me tell you, 2 years ago, I was a certified yoga instructor with hundreds of hours of training. And it was my passion. My passion was healing. My passion was helping people heal. Poses and sequences to worship the sun, to worship specific gods like Shakti and Shiva and Ganesha. And the true religion of yoga is much more than just stretching. If you want to go stretch and keep your body in shape, go stretch and keep your body in shape. But if you start getting into yoga and all this meditation and all this trying to find your inner light and trying to, improve your thinking and you're going to start falling slowly into this new age version of yoga that acts like it's compatible with Christianity, but it's not at all. And there are literal demons that created this religion, that created this spiritual discipline. The Vedas were written by the ancient sages who received divine revelation about the discipline of yoga, about merging one's soul with the universal consciousness, Brahma, they call it. And these poses came out of that. The discipline came out of that. And now we have it in the U.S., and it's one of the most popular, growing physical activities, even spiritualities in the world. This whole new age spirituality that yoga is such a huge part of. But understand what yoga actually is. This isn't just some fun and games. Most people might not know these things. Most people might just practice it for good intentions. But good intentions with deception can lead to destruction, and you do not want that. So educate people on what yoga actually is, and let's actually create something that fulfills what we want, which is staying healthy and staying physically active, but doesn't align with these extremely demonic Hindu spiritual practices.
I'm going to talk about Muslim yoga. Many of you heard of Christian yoga and Jewish yoga and secular yoga, but you probably not heard of Muslim yoga. Now, the Muslim yoga stems from the fact that Muslims have discovered around the world that yoga is very useful. And they've also found it problematic to take the whole yoga as is without taking it apart, because there are many things they consider blasphemous, anti-Islam, according to their interpretation. So the problem, the way to respond is to question the very framework in which they're operating. This requires courage. This requires teachers on our side who have the integrity and the courage and who've done enough Purva Paksha to be able to say, none of this makes sense because you have taken apart the context, and you cannot take yoga and dharma and these things out of context, put it into some kind of Arabic and Islamic context and manipulate it and select this and reject that and so on. You got to take the whole system with its integrity, with its context, and we are the ones who can tell you what the context is. That is the reason I've done this episode. I'm not against Islam. By the way, I want Muslims to practice yoga. I really, really want them to practice yoga. But I want them to defer judgment, not bring in their Islam right away. Just put their Islam aside and let them experience whatever it comes. Don't block it. Don't say we won't do this, we won't do that, this is not allowed, this is blasphemy. Just experience yoga as we intend it to be, as yoga has always intended to be.
Yoga has religion, that is Hinduism. I wanted to make it very clear. We are very happy to share this whole knowledge to the whole world. We are very happy to give these fruits. But very unfortunately, the appropriation and misappropriation of the yoga is happening all over the world. Not only some of the Western yoga gurus, even Indian yoga gurus have started telling, yoga has nothing to do with Hinduism or India. I am shocked. Yoga has religion, that is Hinduism. Whether you accept or not, terrorism as religion, everyone knows. Same way, yoga has religion, that is Hinduism. Do you want the original source book of yoga from the founder of yoga, Sadashiva? Please understand, Patanjali revived yoga, but Sadashiva is the founder. Agamas are the founders. Agamas are the earliest record of yoga literatures available. Make the world understand yoga has religion, that is Hinduism. But don't try to tell it is not, it doesn't belong to them. That is the worst thing happening. They take everything, appropriate, misappropriate. They give their own names. Chak yoga, Chik yoga, Chak yoga, Jak. All the names. Finally, the extreme violence is claiming it has nothing to do with Hinduism and India.
A lot of people believe yoga started in California. Yes. I met somebody who seriously believed it was Madonna who started yoga. Yes.
In yoga, the yogis have a mischievous way of expressing this. They say, if you touch your chitta, then gods will become your slaves. This is a mischievous way of saying it.
You said you have a fatwa here in Malaysia about yoga, that it's haram. And you want to know, can we still do the exercise anyway as long as we don't do the chime and dhikr? Do you know what a fatwa is? It's a ruling. A scholar, you went to a scholar and you asked him a question, and now you didn't like the answer, so you want to go to another one and do some shopping?
If we can touch on Sister Muhammad's question from the United Arab Emirates, and you went through this yoga as a form of exercise, nothing to do with the rituals that are reached with it.
Then I hardly recommend that you change the name. Just call it breathing exercises. Don't attach it to its origin, because the origin is not permissible in Islam. You have to try your best to just call it exercise.
Okay. Majority of the scholars, they agree that yoga in any form, it is not permissible, it is haram. And if you analyze that yoga is associated with Hinduism, and as I mentioned, the meaning of yoga is union with God. And there are various different forms and asanas of yoga. One of the most famous is the Surya Namaskar, which is the salutation to sun god. So, but naturally, this is nothing but a form of idol worship. It's a form of worshipping a false god. I'm sorry. So many of the asanas and the practices of yoga, it is related with Hinduism and it leads to shirk.
Brothers and sisters in Islam, there is a culture in the Muslim world under that notion of reflection, the culture of yoga. People say, let's do yoga so we can reflect. If you go deep into the origin of yoga and those who introduce yoga, what is yoga is about? Yoga is about the unity of the individual with the spirit God. You become one. Do you think that's something good for Muslims? Do you believe Allah is a spirit? No. We believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a divine essence. Like I said a minute ago, you cannot even picture it, you cannot visualize it, you cannot dictate how it looks like. The greatness and the magnificence of this divine essence is above any imagination. And He is above us, He's above His creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not part of His creation in any form or shape. Now you want to tell me that you want to join with Allah? Is that what the yoga is about? Totally, brothers and sisters in Islam. Kick out that culture. You know, it was amazing. One of the sisters came and she said, Sheikh, I'd like to introduce a new program for the community here. I'd like to offer yoga classes. I said, oh, yoga classes, okay. A lot of the sisters, a lot of the brothers, they don't know. So I had to explain to her, listen, the principle itself defeats our tawheed. Because you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not part of His creation. We don't believe that. Now you're saying that you want to unite with Allah, and this is the promotion of the ideology of the extreme Sufis called Wahdatul Wujud, that you can be God and the created can be God and the God is the created and all that stuff. So we don't do this, brothers and sisters in Islam. Even if you justify this by saying, you know what, I'm just going to do the physical without associating it with the beliefs. No, stay away from it, brothers and sisters in Islam.
If you look deep into it, you cannot miss the religious origin of it, where it praises the sun and tells you to face it when it rises and sets, and you repeat its 12 names through a number of repetition, claiming that brings you focus and concentration. By sitting idle, doing nothing, claiming that you're meditating. By prostrating on your 8 parts of the body in poses like animals. If you look at all of this and the concept behind it, you will reach the conclusion without any doubt that this is prohibited. First of all, because it goes against the aqeedah of Tawheed, the issue of uniting with Allah Azza wa Jal, the issue of being as one with the universe, etc. All of this is contradictory to Islam and its teachings. one may claim and say, okay, we don't believe in any of that, we just adopt the exercises. The answer would be, the Prophet said, وَمَن تَشَبَّهَ بِقَوْمٍ فَهُوَ مِنْهُمْ. Whoever imitates a people, he would be part of them, among them, with them. So you can take any kind of sports that is halal with no problem. You want to do aerobics, no problem. You want to exercise cardios, you want to go to the gym, you want to do weightlifting, bodybuilding, all of this is okay. You want to pick up squash, tennis, badminton, no problem. But when it comes to such exercises that are related to such a religion, this becomes prohibited, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best.